Mike Sempervive here with you for the next hour talking about professional wrestling, which is something we do every single day here on the Sports Byline Broadcasting Network. Tune in, iHeart, American Forces Radio, Cable Radio Network 2, sportsbyline.com, over-the-air affiliates, podcasting, or maybe you're watching via Twitch or YouTube, however you're joining me today. I'd just like to say thank you. Hopefully wherever you are, it's sunny outside. Even if not, hopefully it's sunny inside your mind. Sunny out here right now where I'm at. It's freezing, though. When I say freezing, I mean 50 degrees. I'm not ready for this. Don't like this. But it could be worse. Somebody out there is probably literally freezing right now where it's 32 degrees. International Falls, Minnesota, or something like that. I don't know how you do it, folks. I really don't. I don't know how I do this show without Bryan here. Oh, wait. Yes, I do. Filthy Tom Lawler will be joining me today. A lot to get into. Bryan's not here. He will not be here tomorrow either. I don't know where he is, and it doesn't really matter. The only thing I know is he will be back for Fun Friday. That's what he is promising, at least. But he won't get a chance to talk about it. His favorite show of all time, NXT. Won't get a chance to talk about Dynamite, which has got a ton of stuff already announced for tonight. Tom and I will take you through that card, plus NXT from last night. And a whole lot of other stuff as well. We have a new match for Josh Barnett's Bloodsport with another NXT participant who's actually involved in some things in her personal life right now, at least when it comes to her personal life on NXT. So hopefully this person, who I will reveal here in a little bit, will be able to set all of their drama to the side because they will be facing off in fisticuffs when it comes to Josh Barnett's Bloodsport. Liv Morgan is looking to expand her horizons more in the acting world. We'll tell you about that. As well as Matt Riddle, who does not believe that he will be Goldberg's final opponent. You don't say. Tom and I will get this thing started when we get back. Wrestling Observer Live. Welcome back to the show. Mike Sempervive and Filthy Tom Lawler here with you. Jim Valley is here with you on Saturdays starting at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, and Andrew Zarian joins you beginning at 6 p.m. Eastern on Sundays. I'd also love it if you made the wrestling news part of your day. You can find it wherever you find your favorite podcasts, or head on over to thewrestlingnews.com and at Wrestling News AV on X and Facebook. Every single day of the year, everything you need to know to get your day started, get you up to date, or get you to your favorite long-form review podcast like Wrestling Observer Radio, which will be back sometime very late tonight / early tomorrow morning. Dave and Bryan talking about everything going on AEW Dynamite tonight and everything else around the world of wrestling. You can become a member of WrestlingObserver.com very easily. I'll tell you how you can do that later on in the show, or just head on over to WrestlingObserver.com. You get to hear Filthy 4 daily shows that way with my friend Filthy Tom Lawler. Now, Tom, should we begin this show talking about your adventures from over the weekend, including most specifically in Lowell, Massachusetts on Fighting Spirit Unleashed?
No, we should probably just pass over it.
Fair enough. Yes?
But now that you bring it up, sure, we could talk about that show if you'd like. Because it is also a bit topical. Because today, just today, WWE NXT announced that they will be running that very same arena, the Lowell Memorial Auditorium, next month, I believe on December 13th, 12th?
17th, I believe it is.
17th. I'm doing this off the top of my head. So, but yes, I took place in a 2 out of 3 falls match this past weekend in Lowell, Mass for New Japan Pro Wrestling at the Fighting Spirit Unleashed show. And unfortunately, once again, my prophecy came true. I had said for years and years that the West Coast Wrecking Crew are one of the best teams in professional wrestling. And, well, they showed it because they once again defeated myself and Fred Rosser in a bloody, bloody heated affair. But we move on. And I moved on the next day to the MLW show, the Lucha Apocalypto show in Chicago. Another in a long line, I believe the entire year has been a show of sellouts for MLW. And I was on the stick with Joe Dombrowski, and it was a great night of Lucha Libre themed action. Mystico defended his MLW World Middleweight title in the main event, and you can check that out on YouTube for free. And you can also watch the Fighting Spirit Unleashed show on New Japan World for no extra cost if you are a subscriber.
Now, how do you say filthy in Spanish? Because I was really hoping that you would not reveal your presence there and you would leave the mask on for the entire show as, like, you know, El Filthy or something like that.
Well, actually, Mike, there was a time, a long time ago, when I was a professional mixed martial artist. And I would travel.
You?
Yes. Yeah, me. Filthy Tom Waller. I would travel around the world learning new ways to enter the octagon and do weigh-ins, but also honing my skills. And one of those times I found myself in Havana, Cuba, of all places, training boxing for a month. And while I was there, somebody recognized me. And they said, oh, El Cochino.
El Cochino?
Which translates to the pig. So.
Wait, I just did the Google translation here. Asqueroso?
Yes.
Asqueroso? El Asqueroso? But they called you the pig?
I believe El Cochino has a better ring to it, and in many ways is very, very fitting. But.
Now, how was that experience like in Cuba? I mean, what year was that? Do you can you remember off the top of your head?
I believe 2010.
Because all I can picture is, no matter what it is, whether it's 1979 or whether it's yesterday, I could just picture this boxing gym with nothing but pictures of Tefalo Stevenson, like, around everywhere, saying "our hero."
No, you know where it was? It was at one of those very famous in pictures and video outdoor boxing gyms.
At Guantanamo Bay?
No, not Guantanamo Bay, you fool. Hey, speaking of boxing, we have a huge fight this weekend.
Yes,
unfortunately, the biggest boxing fight of the year probably, as Mike Tyson at 58 years old comes out of retirement to take on Jake Paul. And there's been a lot said about this fight. Probably the less said, the better. But since people love it, we might as well reference it. I can tell you from experience, every single year that goes by now is like an exponential increase in years of wear and tear on your body. And for Mike Tyson to come out of retirement at 58 years old, it's a bad idea.
Yeah, yes, it is.
I'm going to watch it.
Of course. It's
But
a freak show. It's two dogs boning on the side of the road. I mean, that's what it is. It's an absolute freak show, and they seem to be doing everything to make you want to believe that Mike Tyson has a shot in this. And look, Mike Tyson, it looks to be in incredible shape at 58 years old. The thing is, he looked the same at 13 years old. I mean, he was always a physical freak. He always has been that way. That's why he was heavyweight champion of the world at 19, 20 years old, whatever it was, where he knocked out Trevor Berbick.
No mere mortal, no mere human could snort as many lines of cocaine as Mike Tyson did in his prime and still be on this planet. The amount of resilience that man has is unbelievable.
That's true. Although I know some people that have done some mountainous amounts of cocaine in their lifetimes, but he looks fantastic. But the thing is, and all the press and all of the gimmicks that they're doing, it makes you know, it's like, there's Paul taking pictures, there's him being a goofball, there's him doing this and that, and Mike Tyson is just killing people in black and white, and they're just showing that training footage. It's like, yeah. And I know I know you can bet on this fight, which is insane to me as well, too. Not only is it taking place, you can put odds on it, but I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, I think everybody would love to see Paul get knocked out, or at least get his mouth, wired shut for a while. I think that would be doing all of us a favor. But the reality is he's an actual athlete who's in his, still late 20s or whatever it is. Yes, he is physically smaller technically than Tyson when it comes to weight, but he's taller, and he's active every day doing this stuff. Honestly, without the rainbow lucky punch that might land in there, is there any shot Mike Tyson wins this?
Well, yeah, because Jake Paul's not the best boxer in the world. I mean, he's out there.
That's true.
He's out there wearing a rooster on his head at the pre-fight skirmish or whatever he was doing. So yeah, I think it's a 50-50 fight, to be honest.
I would love to see Tyson knock him out. I just don't think that that's the way it's going to go. Are there going to be any warm-ups for this? Have they announced any freak show type of, is KSI coming in there to grapple with somebody or something like that? Is there any pre-card to this?
Yeah,
or are we just tuning into Tyson and Paul?
Amanda Serrano, I believe, is.
Oh, is she fighting a real person? Because she's good.
Well, yes, I believe she's fighting a real person. Although I don't know, maybe they got a hologram.
In this day and age, I wouldn't doubt it if they have I don't know, Christy Martin. Are they pulling her out of retirement to have a fight? I mean, there's going to be a movie coming out here relatively soon with her, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know. Which, by the way, who is Sydney Sweeney is playing the coal miner's daughter? Have you heard about that?
No, but I will sure go look up photographs as we go off the air.
I have a feeling you should, because amazingly, they actually made Sydney Sweeney actually look like her. It was just absolutely amazing. Make her look like Christy Martin. Something I didn't think could happen. One thing I know is going to happen is at some point, this music's going to stop, and we're going to have a break. So I better get out. Wrestling Observer Live.
By the twins. And, yeah.
Mike Sempervive and Filthy Tom Lawler here with you. Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano are going to be having their rematch of their 2022 bout at Madison Square Garden on the undercard of Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. One of the few fights, one of the few women's fights that you could actually put in a main event position at the very least on basic cable television, and that is going to be underneath the Paul Tyson fight on Netflix, and I have not heard one word about that fight or anything else, obviously, that's going to be on that undercard.
Yeah, well, I mean, this weekend's dominated by the two big freak show fights, Tyson Paul and then John Jones and Stipe Miocic headlining the UFC on Saturday night.
John Jones is going to win that, isn't he? I'm going with Jones, but we'll see.
Is there any question? I would imagine after a near 1,400-day layoff by Stipe Miocic to come back in and face... He hasn't fought in Venom fight shorts ever. And he's going to come back and face a somewhat insurmountable task, a fighter no one has been able to defeat except for the legend Matt Hamill, and that is Johnny Bones Jones. The best fighter in mixed martial arts history.
He really is, which is kind of disappointing because he's such a D-bag, and you've had so many instances of him hiding under a ring when the doping agents show up and all of the ridiculous stories. I think the first ridiculous story I had ever heard was I went up and covered the first fight at the Prudential Center, and it was Jones. What was the deal there? I think it was at the Prudential Center, but it was Jones chasing down a robber in Central Park to get a woman's purse back, and it's like, you've got to be kidding me. And it's amazing how many people wrote such glowing things about Jones in the media at the time and then would just completely trash him and everything about him behind his back or not put that in print. And I guess a lot of that had to do with the fact that the UFC held such a tight grip on a lot of their reporters. I mean, there's plenty of stories, Jonathan Snowden and plenty of other people that lost their credentials by being less than glowing in their praise of UFC, but it's been a amazing run for both of those guys. And that I didn't realize Stipe's been out for that long, and the fact that John Jones is still number one, a draw, and number two, like you mentioned, arguably the greatest mixed martial arts fighter of all time. Now, I think there's George St. Pierre. There are other people I think you can throw into that mix. Do you hold anything against Jones for the fact that there is a question over him and doping and things like that? Do you think there's anything that black mark against his record at all as compared to somebody else who didn't test positive or doesn't have that shadow over them?
You're going to have to go and look through a long list of guys to find people that did not test positive at the top of this sport at this level, my friend. And that's not even mentioning the number of guys who were on TUEs, TRT, replacement therapy when it was allowed. So how do you quantify those results? You know what I mean? Yeah. PED use is an open, dirty secret across mixed martial arts. And I'm not talking about the devil Osterine. I'm talking about the hard stuff. You got guys taking EPO at the top level. There's a lot of instances. So I'm not sure you can even look at John Jones and go, well, hey, this disqualifies him from, being the greatest ever. Because then who do you start throwing in the conversation? The only one that's going to have a clean record is GSP. And how many people were just accusing him left and right of using stuff over the years? So I think when it comes to mixed martial arts, you kind of just gotta look at the results. And John Jones is the best ever. He's undefeated except for a DQ loss, which is questionable. He got DQ'd for beating a guy up too badly, essentially, in mixed martial arts. But yeah, he's the GOAT.
You know who never tested positive for anything, at least according to him? Josh Barnett. Never. I remember when he got popped by California, we had an interview for him because I can't remember if it was a Pride-based interview or a New Japan. I can't remember what it was, but it was like, well, the CSAC says that this happened, and it's like, well, how do you respond to that? And his response was simply, well, they lied. And I use that as a bridge to get to Josh Barnett's Bloodsport 12 event coming up on November 24th. In a social media post on Tuesday night, Barnett announced that NXT's Carmen Petrovich will face Sumi Sakai at Bloodsport, taking place at the White Eagle Hall in Jersey City, New Jersey. Petrovich is the second NXT wrestler announced for the show, as Charlie Dempsey has already been announced as taking on Akira on the show. The rest of the card so far has Marina Shafir against Jody Threat, Josh Alexander against Speedball Mike Bailey, a battle between Violence is Forever, I like this, Dominic Guarini against Kevin Koo, the former Zaya Lee, who goes by the name Lei Ying Lee now, will face off against Masha Slamovich. And what I will safely assume is going to be the main event, Barnett himself in there with Montel Vontavious Porter, MVP. Do you like this show? I know you'd like it a lot more if you were on it, but as far as how it's laid out right now, what do you think?
I mean, what's not to like? You've got a number of different styles, different types of fighters under this same rule set. You've got Carmen Petrovic, a accomplished karateka, would have been in the Olympics in 2020, I believe, if they had gone down as they were scheduled to.
She was that good? I did not realize that. Huh.
I don't know. Maybe I made that up. It's pro wrestling.
The most
MVP, who most people probably don't know, is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt himself. He's been training for a long time, and he's got that running drive-by kick, vicious flying Muay Thai boot to the face. These shows are always great, and I'm sure this one's once again gonna deliver.
Interested to see the Josh Alexander Speedball Mike Bailey one, too, because Alexander, obviously a great wrestler, great on the mat, and Bailey with the kicks and everything. It'll be interesting to see how that whole thing plays itself out.
Last time Josh Alexander was in Bloodsport, it was during the pandemic in Indianapolis, and he took on Davey Boy Smith Jr., the now current reigning All Japan Pro Wrestling Triple Crown heavyweight champion. And Josh Alexander was drinking through a straw for the rest of the night after that match.
And a guy who likes to drink through straws because he likes to drink, Matt Riddle, is not optimistic that he is going to be Bill Goldberg's final opponent. The man whose name was first on these Bloodsport shows years and years ago now announced recently that he doesn't think that Goldberg wants to step up to the plate. That's what he said on a podcast. What is it here? The Barstool Wrestling podcast is where he made that comment. Riddle was asked if he and Goldberg had straightened out their beef, which began after Riddle made public comments calling Goldberg an unsafe worker and also that he could beat him in a real fight. He says, me and Bill, we've talked. We were actually on a flight from Saudi. We were on a Saudi show, like one of the Crown Jewel events, as if there were other pro wrestling events going on there where Goldberg and Riddle would have been flying back from. He thinks it was a Crown Jewel event. We had some cocktails, no kidding, and a discussion. I don't think there's any bad blood. I think he has more of an understanding of where I was coming from. I definitely have an understanding of where he's coming from and why he finds what I say disrespectful and things like that. I completely understand. Don't mean it that way. We're professional wrestlers. I'm just spitting facts, and I can back it up. This is what it is. A lot of people in WWE took that as disrespect, but if you fought in the UFC and now you're in WWE, what am I supposed to do? Forget my whole career? It's like, no, I can stretch like 98% of people. As a man who has lived in both worlds right now, Filthy Tom, what is the percentage of people that you believe that you can stretch?
99.9% of them.
That's why you're the man and Matt Riddle's a bum, bringing up Goldberg again, trying to get some shine here. I mean, it makes for a nice headline and everything. I just could not believe that was on the front page of the site with the line that he is not optimistic about being Goldberg's final opponent. Yeah, I think the Gunther thing is going to work itself out just fine, I believe.
I would like to say it's perhaps possible that it was not a Crown Jewel event. It could have been the greatest Royal Rumble that they were on together.
I guess so. That's possible, I guess. Sure.
Yeah, and quite frankly, I mean, Matt Riddle's right. If I were Goldberg, I would tread lightly because he doesn't have the best track record. If I remember, every time he's backing up fighters, back in Pride, his favorites would routinely lose when he was doing commentary. And then just weeks ago, we saw him in the corner at ONE FC, I believe in the corner of Liam Harrison, who got annihilated in the first round. But Goldberg was back there slamming his head into the lockers, hyping him up as he was on his way out there to get slaughtered. So
no shot that Dynamite gets slaughtered in the ratings by NXT tonight because, well, they're running by themselves. NXT was last night. We'll get to that in the next segment. But tonight, live on TBS, Total Mortgage Arena in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Penelope Ford against Dr. Britt Baker, Roderick Strong, Lance Archer, Adam Cole, Konosuke Takeshita, Hangman and Christian Cage against Jay White and Juice Robinson, FTR against the House of Black, Swerve and Leo Rush. And I'll get to the rest of what's been going to be going on that show when we get back from break. Wrestling Observer Live.
Ugh.
We've almost reached the pinnacle of the tour, but this is one of the most important things. This is the computer. This is the workstation where I do the majority of the actual physical part of putting Figure 4 together. I do the writing here, the editing here, of course the phone calls, even the microphone here when we used to do Wrestling Observer Live, which has since died. And in fact, I better put the screensaver on here so this doesn't get burned in the screen. But putting the newsletter together, people understand, it's a lot of hard work and dedication, like 2 to 3 hours per week sometimes I have to spend on it. And hold on a second. Figure 4, who's this? Carl Thorillo? Yeah. Yeah. Hey, listen. Can I call you back? I'm doing something here right now. My fridge? Yes, running. Hello? Prank call. Anyway, this is like I said, computer. Got the TV here. This is pretty much the place. This is going to be a quick tour of the trophy room. This is actually my trophy case. It's made of mahogany, very expensive. But what is worth far more than the case itself is what is inside, and that is the medals from the various sports and the accomplishments that I've achieved during my lifetime. This first drawer here is my gymnastics medal. Here, I got state and such. These are my Taekwondo medals. These down here, amateur wrestling medals. And down here are the 26 medals that I won in the 5-kilometer walk down to the Bothell Landing over the course of the past 5 years. And, you know, I realize that I'm a 4-sport superstar right here, and some people, you know, it might bother them that they haven't had such achievements in their life, but I think that the whole point is that you can achieve anything. You know, if you can make a great pie, you can win the pie eating contest at the Puyallup Fair, and I don't know, hell, if you can eat a good pie, you might win the pie eating contest as well. So there's achievement in this life for everybody.
On the show, Mike Sempervive, Filthy Tom Lawler here with you. Let me tell you something about sports washing. Just to continue a conversation from through the break. So Turkey Al-Sheikh is going to buy, or the Saudis are going to buy, Ring Magazine, which has been dormant now in print form for several years. It's only online. I think there's one boxing magazine out there, and it's like it's quarterly or something like that comes out. So he is going to be bringing back the Ring. What's going to be interesting is, because, again, I try to stay away from anything being sports washed, but it may be difficult here at some point with the way that actual professional sports contracts are going up, where it is going to be it's hard for me to believe that Qatar, Saudi Arabia, other places are not going to really start investing or be asked to invest into some of these sports teams to try to bring in some cash flow. Obviously, you see the cash flow that they give away to WWE, $50 million a pop or whatever it is for the shows that they're running over there. It seems like that's something, and I could be wrong, and this isn't exactly the forum for it, but we talk about boxing, we talk about WWE with the Saudis. I mean, MMA, obviously, you see that tie-in. It's hard to believe that they're not going to be doing more investing into existing NBA, NHL, whatever sports franchises here. Am I crazy for thinking that?
No, absolutely not. I mean, there are other companies that are taking money or being invested in. when it comes to mixed martial arts by these countries in the Middle East, right? I believe the Saudis also own a portion of the PFL.
Yeah.
Right? There's Brave Fighting Championship. There's UAE Warriors. And I would, imagine that those are set up in a way in which, you bring in fans, you get the event. I mean, they're probably putting out money for them. And I'd assume it's going to happen, more and more in the long run, although with boxing, as you mentioned, I believe the big push now is for, no more Riyadh season outside of Saudi Arabia, but now to try to get people to go to Saudi Arabia for these big events.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. But anyway, let's get back to the wrestling point of things.
Why?
What?
Why couldn't
what?
Yeah. Why couldn't you do it?
Number one, that's a long flight, and I'm not doing that. I don't like to fly really anyway, let alone across an ocean for that amount of time to go to a country that I don't know, man. I don't know. Now, I know you've been over in the Middle East and everything. It's no sweat off your back or anything.
Been around the world. Nah, yeah.
And no, I always wanted to go to Egypt, and I think that's going to be out. Ever since Mubarak got overthrown and everything that shook out there, I don't think I'll be going. But it just
do you want me to call in a favor from Karam Gabar?
No, because he'll find out that I was a big fan of Kazuyuki Fujita. You remember what happened there?
Yes, I do.
That's what happens when Olympians go in overconfident and get knocked out by professional wrestlers on Pride shows. You never saw him ever try that again. And in fact, he was one of the guys I remember that
I think it was a K1. I think it was a K1 Dynamite.
Was it K1 Dynamite or something like that?
But
I just remember he was one of the guys that was really being looked at as somebody that could be in professional wrestling. And then after that happened, I don't think I ever heard from the guy again after that. I don't think in fight form, not in amateur wrestling form for sure, and obviously not professional wrestling. Knocked all the hope right out of that man. As Tom looks something up.
I believe he's doing pretty well in Egypt, actually. And
probably.
And another instance in which I use all of my brain power in the past to remember absolutely pointless minutia and details because it did take place. K1 Dynamite, December 31st, 2004.
Never saw Johnny Morton fight again, too, but that was a different K1 show, which brings up different laughable memories. But Swerve Strickland and Leo Rush, I don't know if I said that before the break when it comes to tonight's Dynamite. Also, Will Ospreay will appear. Bobby Lashley will appear. We'll hear from Jamie Hayter. Mina Shirakawa returns. And Jon Moxley will seize the Superstation TBS. Will he be able to help out their production at all? Possibly their sound mixing.
Jon Moxley's going to be the guy you go to for sound mixing. I'd imagine he's more like a caveman in the back pressing the buttons. But
well, what does it mean that he's going to seize the Superstation TBS? And is that something that you want to advertise ahead of time? I mean, if he was going to seize it, I mean, now wouldn't they have security set up? Wouldn't TBS have somebody there? WBD?
You would think that, but I've noticed that AEW has a relatively poor security force when it comes to these things. They need a man to step up and make sure things are secure. They need a man to step up and make sure things are safe, make sure things are on lockdown. And that man, the next Doug Dillinger, you could be looking at him, but you're not. I recommend Roadblock from WCW.
I think he may have passed away. Roadblock did quite some time ago. But how about?
Well, maybe he's currently in charge of their security then, because Jon Moxley just seems to do whatever he wants.
Exactly. Well,
how did Darby Allin get up in the ceiling a few weeks ago? Don't you think they'd have that figured out?
That's been one of those wrestling ones that we've never even asked. You know how we talk about like wrestler paralysis, that it really afflicts so many guys, like somebody's music hits and then everybody just goes and they just stare. Like nobody ever said, why is Sting? How did he get up into the stands? Nobody ever questioned that. So I think that's the extension of Sting is if nobody's questioning Sting, nobody's going to question how Darby got up there either. Just a thought. Well, I don't know. Thanks for letting me transition poorly here. Now I know what Brian goes through when he does this show with me to CW and NXT, which I made Tom watch because he had to do the show today. And the show opened with Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend against Stephanie Vaquer and Julia. Julia pinned Jakara after she and Vaquer hit a double V trigger in about 11 minutes. It was a solid opening to the match, and Jakara Jackson has gotten better, which is amazing that if somebody continues to wrestle, that they may actually pick things up and get better. Lash Legend has as well. She is a physical freak compared to some of the women that they have on that roster, even some of the people on the main roster. At some point, if they can actually round into something, Jakara and Lash, they will be impactful on that main roster, but there's been talk about pushing them up there sooner rather than later. I don't want to see that happen, although I do want to see Noam Dar when he comes back, possibly up on the main roster, which would then go ahead and bring everybody up. But then we got the first of 3 Iron Survivor Challenge qualifying matches. Yes, sir?
Can I say something, actually, about that?
Yes.
Because I think that Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend should be on the main roster. Because, to me, they are 2 instances of which I think they will step up and rise to the occasion. I think Lash Legend has been a high-level athlete her whole life, and I think put into a situation in which she gets to wrestle better people. She gets to be on the main roster environment. I think she is, one of the few prospects that you could say this about with limited experience that would step up and, look better in the long run for being up there earlier.
I think Obafemi has that potential as well, too. Just on the men's side of things, he's only had really a handful of matches in his entire career since he came out, and obviously they believed him enough to make him one of the faces of NXT, make him the North American champion, and he's done that very well. I could see him going up to the main roster and actually succeeding there as well, too.
I agree, especially hot on the heels of guys like Francis Ngannou and Rug taking over the combat sports world. We need an African star on the main roster, I think.
Sol Ruca defeated Cora Jade with the Soul Snatcher in about 3.5 minutes. There really wasn't much to say about it. It was fine. It went quickly, and I thought Cora was going to get the victory, but they're putting Sol Ruca in the Iron Survivor Challenge, so there you go. Backstage, Carmen Petrovich. She was talking with Dion Lennox, and her mind was completely on Ashante the Adonis. That's when Carly Bright walked over, then followed by Ashanti walking over. And at the time, I didn't realize this, they made a mixed tag match for next week between Carmen and Ashanti against Dion and Carly. But how the segment ended, it was open. So they never actually said that was going to happen. They ended up saying it later on in the show. After a commercial came back to a bunch of people in a boardroom talking to Ava at the end of it, basically what it comes down to is there's going to be tag team wars taking place to see who comes and faces Axiom and Nathan Frazier next. We finally saw Josh Briggs again. He walked out of there. We end up seeing him later on. He's got Yoshiki Inamura of Pro Wrestling Noah with him.
It's like, what?
Sure, why not? I guess. They were talking until Eddie Thorpe came in to yell at Ava about always blowing him off. And Ava said, look, I know you need a shot. I know you want a shot. And so he is going to be in one of the Iron Survivor Challenge matches that's going to be coming up. Trick Williams came out for an in-ring promo calling out Ridge Holland. Instead, he got Andre Chase, who told him he's not done with Ridge. Seems like Trick was about to offer Ridge a shot, or Andre Chase a shot at the NXT Championship when Holland's music hit and he came down to the ring, and he is by far the most hated man when it comes to that Performance Center on the roster. They were booing him the entire time. You would have thought it was Dominic Mysterio or Don Callis in there, the way they booed throughout the entire thing. Chase told Holland he wants one more match with him. Ridge said no. Chase then said he would put Chase U on the line for the match. And Ridge says he didn't care about the university, but then thought about it and said, okay, I'll take it. And if he wins the match, Chase U has got to disband. Riley, Duke, and Thea need to go their own way. Later on, when Andre Chase was talking to them, they didn't seem to be real confident in Andre's chances of being able to defeat Ridge Holland for the number one contendership and go on for the NXT title. Will you be sad if Chase U goes away? I will.
I'm not very confident in Mr. Chase's chances here either against Ridge Holland. I think Chase U is not long for this world, but I'm sure one day they'll be reunited. So we can look forward to that. Maybe 4 years down the road when graduation should have taken place.
Now, I don't know why the first match with the women, with Soul and with Cora went 3.5 minutes. I have no idea why that happened, and they gave 4.5 minutes to Adriana Rizzo and Nikita Lyons in a bad match. It was just bad. And there's a great example of somebody not getting enough reps when it comes to either one of those women's. Lyons been hurt for a while, and Rizzo, who is a great cartoon character standing with the D'Angelo family, like, at some point, if she's going to wrestle, maybe you ought to let her have some more matches.
Unfortunately, Nikita Lyons missed her timing. She was, in a better place before the injury. She came back, and I don't know. To me, it seems like she's almost got nowhere to go right now. And if she had a place to go, it should probably be to the hospital, the cemetery, the morgue, because Rizzo, at the end of the match, hit her in the back of the head with a crowbar. That's assault, brother.
And battery, I believe. And yeah. I know. You're upset. Thank Dom there for throwing in the music. Or Tom did any cursing or anything like that. A
little bit of R.A. the Rugged Man in the house, huh?
Yes,
just like that. Just like that review, quite rugged.
We still got a little bit more to go, which we will after the break. Wrestling Observer Live.
We did, in fact, by popular demand, watch Ready to Rumble.
The champion is some fat loser.
Yeah, he's a completely talentless, no athletic ability, can't wrestle, broke bum that walked out on his wife and kid.
But he was over.
The world champion.
He
and
was.
In the movie, the
but that's a microcosm of wrestling, sadly.
Yes.
He feels so bad about drinking this entire slushie that cost $1.26, and he sticks his finger in his asshole and walks up to the clerk.
Lance is dying. How could the movie be so bad?
I'm not going to fault the man for that, of all the things in the movie.
I thought for sure you were going to say you'd done this before.
There's a reason I'm not going to fault the man for that.
I just think with all the porta potties and farting in this, that I think Vince McMahon was a secret producer on this film. Had to have been.
So then we get the Shermanator. He's playing a WCW arcade game. He uses some internet sleuthing to find the personal information of Jimmy King.
He's searching the internet. Can find out anything on here. This movie was so antiquated. Every Nitro Girl is in a Nitro Girl outfit, except for this girl. They had her dance in something totally different.
Brian, like the captain.
So we're so stupid. I got it.
Captain
Yes,
Stabbing?
if you're watching this film, you're that stupid. I'm sorry.
But I was also insulted by the fact they hired Michael Buffer to announce the Royal Bash, the fake-ass Royal Bash.
$24 million budget.
Wow.
And probably $500,000 of that went to Michael Buffer. It made 12. You know, we should mention this cage match is the triple-decker Cage of Doom. Everybody buried it. It was horrible. Everybody hated it. And so they decided to make a movie. And what is the final battle? It's another goddamn triple-decker cage match. This would be like in 2010 if like TNA made a movie and the final match was a reverse battle royal.
They throw powder in someone's face, DDP's I think, or somebody's, and the dude just looks at it and goes, "It doesn't work." It's like, of course, because wrestling's fake and stupid.
Should we just end it there? What a soundbite. There has never been a movie I have watched in my entire life which has made me hate myself more.
Wow.
I'm ashamed that I'm even in the place at 41 years old where I would end up reviewing this movie for money. I would have thought I would have made it out of here by now. You know what I mean? I'm done.
Well, everyone, hopefully we can do this again someday. Instead of suffering through the YouTube chat, click like and subscribe.
Show Mike Sempervive and Filthy Tom Lawler here with you. I want to hear Tom actually sing some R.A. the Rugged Man bars. I want to hear him actually do some of definition of a rap flow at that speed. You think you can do it?
Absolutely not. I would butcher the great work of R.A. the Rugged Man. Are you kidding me? We've got to cover the rest of this NXT show anyways.
Who is fast and bouncy? Javon Evans is fast and bouncy. Oh, see, I thought you were going to play the music throughout the whole thing. He defeated Lexis King in about 9.5 minutes because Lexis King still won't do anything dirty like his father did. And then it was time for the NXT Women's North American title rematch. Fallon Henley defending against the queen of superfluous moves, Kalani Jordan. Tom, what'd you think?
If you are a lover of superfluous moves, this match, right up your alley. My brain almost exploded at one point trying to decipher the physics of a move that Kalani Jordan did, a rolling thunder into a standing shooting star press. I mean, she did it. I couldn't figure out why. But I digress.
Just to get a 2 count. That's why. And Kalani looked like she had the match won after a split-legged moonsault, but JC put Fallon's foot on the ropes. Kalani kicked Fallon, stopped Jasmine from interfering, went for a roll-up. Fallon kicked out, pushed Kalani right into a punch in the face by JC, and Fallon got the victory. And that's it. Andre Chase against Ridge next week. Carmen and Ashante against Brinley and Dion. Tony D'Angelo against Brooks Jensen. And the Iron Survivor Challenge matches continue. Filthy Tom Lawler and I might continue this show tomorrow. We'll find out.
Yep.
Thank you, Producer John. Thank you, Producer Dom. We shall talk to you again after a while.